In this screencast, I want to look at the Align panel in Adobe Illustrator. The workspace I have up is the Essentials Classic workspace. By default, it does not have the Align tools as an option in the flyout panels along the right-hand side. So I'm going to bring those up by going to the Window menu and going down to Align, and that will bring that set of tools up along with a couple others. So the Align panel is pretty simple to use. Probably seems like it goes without saying, but there's a couple of things to point out. So first off, one of the more important aspects of the Align panel is that you can choose what to align the objects to with this set of tools in the lower right-hand corner. So no matter which Align Objects tool you're using, whether you're aligned to left, aligned to right, aligned to center, top, bottom, horizontal, vertical center, the option that you have selected down here makes a difference. So I've got 3 objects on my artboard here. I'm going to select all of those. And I'm going to begin with Align to Artboard. And what I want to do is align these on the vertical center of my page. So I've got Align to Artboard selected. If I go up here to Vertical Align Center, it snapped all of these objects to exactly the vertical center point. So this center point right here sits at exactly 3.5 inches. My artboard is 7 inches by 7 inches. These now sit at 3.5 inches. Tap Command Z to undo that. Now I'm going to pull these way up here, and instead of Align to Artboard, I'm going to select Align to Selection. And now when I use that same tool, it will align those all on center, but it takes an average of wherever the bottom object and top object are, creates an average, takes the average of the two and places all of those objects in that spot. So basically halfway between. So if the center of the top object is at 1 inch, the center of the bottom object is at 3 inches, when I select these, it's going to place all the objects at 2 inches when I use that vertical align center. And it works exactly the same way no matter which other tool you're using. So I'm going to skip those and move on to the Distribute Objects. And again, whichever tool you have whichever Align to you select will cause this to behave differently. So distributing objects will distribute them evenly based upon the selection that you make. So tops, centers, bottoms, left, centers, and rights. This being top to bottom, this being left to right. So with Align to Artboard, it's actually going to align these objects to the edges of the artboard. So I'm going to select Distribute, Horizontal Distribute on Center, and you'll see that it places these out to the edge of the artboard. It doesn't place them off by placing the center there. It places the edge to the artboard. And then this third object is evenly distributed between them, which should put it at 3.5 inches. If I mouse over the center there, I see that it's at 3.5 inches. Undo that. So if I select Align to Selection and select that Distribute, it's going to leave those two in the position they're in, but it's going to move that middle object to exactly between the two. The last item is Align to Key Object. So let's see, I'm going to draw this here, move these around a little bit. So a key object is an object that you define to align everything to. So I'm going to select all 3 of these objects, but then I'm going to go back over here and click again on this one, And you'll see that it now has a heavy blue border around it. I've defined that as a key object. And if you notice on my Align panel, that Align option is now selected. So whenever I decide to, I'm going to use my vertical align center. Actually, I'll use horizontal align center this time. It's going to align both of these objects on the center of this key object. Just like that. So that's align to key object. And again, it's really simple to define a key object. When you've got all your objects selected, you simply click on the object that you want everything to align to. And click on whichever align or distribute option you want. So play around with those a little bit to get used to them. Two other things I want to point out. The align tools work with absolutely anything in your Illustrator workspace. So if I pull out a series of guides, and by default, they're locked in position. If I right click, I can unlock those guides. If I drag, if I select all of those, I can align to selection and distribute all of those on the center. So I can quickly throw a bunch of guides out onto my artboard and use the Align panel to make sure that those are all evenly spaced if that's what I need. If I go ahead and draw a couple more guides out here, or I click on a guide and hold down my Option key, I can duplicate, click Option, duplicate. Now if I select all of these and I change Align to Artboard, I can use my distribute. It's going to place the left and right to the edges and evenly distribute all the rest in the middle. So I can do that with horizontal, with vertical as well as horizontal guides. I use this frequently to find the center of my artboard. So if I can draw a vertical and a horizontal guide out kind of quickly. I'll select my horizontal guide, align to artboard, distribute objects. There we go. Align on center. Then I'll select my vertical one and align it on center. I now know exactly where the center of my artboard is. And on a 7" by 7" artboard, it's easy to find the 3.5" mark manually. But if I've got an odd-sized artboard, this is a pretty quick way to find the center of that should I need it. When I'm done, I just need to make sure that I lock my guides down again so I don't move them around. All right, so I'm going to unlock these and delete them. The Align tools also work well with artboards. If I have multiple artboards out on my page, I can hold down my Shift key and select each of them, come back to my Align panel, and I can just take those, align them to the top, and then I can evenly distribute them as well. And as a group, pull them back down into place. And I can use the Align tools to keep my workspace neat and tidy.